Hello and welcome. We are back with another episode of Joe's Knows Fantasy Football. This is our week 2 episode. Your host, Giacomo Imperiali, joined here by Matt Friedman, Dominic Urbafina, and Richie Zangara. Obviously, week 1 is going to give us a lot of tells moving into the next couple of weeks here, but we're going to kick it off, as we kick it off with every episode, our starts and sits for week 2. Matt, first up, you had the running backs this week. What are your starts and sits?
Yeah, my number one start is going to be James Cook. We saw his workload. It was extreme. It was a very high workload for the Bills in week 1. And this was when, it was more of a Josh Allen game against that Arizona defense. Now we're looking at a very weak run defending Miami Dolphins team. They're going to want to control the time of possession. They're going to want to control the line of scrimmage. Miami's going to have a very hard time defending the run, losing their 2 top run defenders from last year. It's going to be a heavy James Cook game. I do think he'll find the end zone. I think he'll go over 100 yards. I think James Cook should be on everybody's starting lineup this week. And my sit is going to be Rachaad White. I mean, I said it before the year. I don't think that he's going to keep this spot 100% as Bucky Irving continues to get an increased role in this offense. I think we're going to see Bucky Irving take another jump in terms of workload. And if you look at Rachaad White's matchup right now, I think the Detroit Lions are a very tough team to run the football against. You have Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, and DJ Reader all on that defensive line, all incredible at stopping the run. It's just a poor matchup. Bucky Irving is right on Rachaad White's back in terms of taking his touches away. I don't see any sort of big week coming from Rachaad White.
Dom here. You're up next. You had the quarterbacks for this week. What are your starts and sits?
So actually, Giacomo Imperiali, I did not have the quarterbacks. I had the tight ends. So with my start, I had Mike Gesicki. This is a little bit more of a sleeper, but I do believe with T. Higgins possibly being out that he could be a good option for Joe Burrow to throw to, especially against his good Chiefs defense. And with Jamar against Trent McDuffie, he could be getting locked up. So I do think Mike Gesicki could have a solid day if you really need him. And my sit is Mark Andrews. Last week he had I believe like 3 targets compared to Isaiah Likely's 12. Isaiah Likely went absolutely crazy, as we all saw that Thursday night. And I just don't see how they just are gonna take his role away after he's producing against the best team in the NFL. That was a massive game for them, and Likely decided to show up. So I say I'm gonna sit Mark Andrews this week.
Yeah, apologies for the mix-up, Dom. You did have the tight ends. Good starts and sits there. Rich, that means you have the quarterbacks for this week. What are your starts and sits at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I'm going to have start Anthony Richardson against the Packers. Last week, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the kid's got a gun. I mean, he completed 9 passes for 212 yards. He's a running machine, just blows through guys. He's going to get in the end zone. And my sit is Tua Tagovailoa. Cut that. How do you say it?
Tagovailoa.
All right, I'm just gonna say Tua. And my sit for the week is Tua against the Bills. He's not been great. 61% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He's not been good over the years with the Bills and against the Bills. And I just think, like I said in the other episode, the Bills are going to beat them pretty easily.
Yeah, with process of elimination going on there, I'm going to have the receivers for this week. You can call this cheating for my start, but I'm going to say both of the Chargers receivers, the 1 and 2, whoever you want to call the one, Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer at least the flex spot, have to find a way in this lineup. They are going against an awful Carolina defense. The Saints absolutely destroyed this team last week. I mean, I can't even think of the things that Justin Herbert is going to do to this defense. Obviously, they lost their best defender, Derek Brown, on the line, so he'll have plenty of time. Joe Alt, as we mentioned over on the NFL show, one of the best graded offensive linemen last week, is allowing 0 pressures. Justin Herbert should have all day to throw the ball downfield. I think he's going to have a field day. At least one of these guys, I will guarantee, is going to go absolutely bonkers against this awful Carolina secondary. And for my sit this week, Don giving me a disgusted look. He's going to look even more disgusted after my sit this week. George Pickens should not be in anyone's starting lineup. Yeah, he had a decent game without finding the end zone last week against the Falcons. I just want to say we saw what Pat Surtain did to DK Metcalf last week, holding him to 3 catches for 29 yards. Absolutely clamped him. Pat Surtain, again, a solidified top 3 corner in the league, will be shadowing George Pickens the whole game. Yeah, I think that the Steelers could probably win this game and may put up at least more I think that they'll definitely put up more touchdowns than they did last week. But George Pickens is not a viable fantasy option this week when he's going to be lined up against Pat Surtain for the entire game. With that being said, though, with our starts and sits, obviously after week 1, some people in your league may overreact. That's either for the better or the worse. So here are our top buy low and sell high candidates. Matt here first. Matt, what is your buy candidate here?
Yeah, my buy low is going to be Dalton Kincaid. I think that a lot of fantasy owners are panicking a little bit. His price was pretty high in fantasy drafts this past year. I think that he is finally going to start to get some of the targets, some of the looks from Josh Allen as we face more defenses that are going to have mismatches with him. There was really no need to target Dalton Kincaid in week 1. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Josh Allen and James Cook were fantastic on the ground last week. I think we're finally going to see a little bit more of Dalton Kincaid as the season goes on. So I'll get your hands on him as soon as you possibly can. Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level, and Kincaid is likely going to be his number 1 red zone target. And my sell is going to be Isaiah Likely. I think that he had a fantastic week 1. Obviously, Mark Andrews still a little bit shaken up from the car accident. He's still recovering a little bit. When Mark Andrews is limited, Isaiah Likely is going to be an elite option. But how long is Mark Andrews going to be limited? I can't really see for too much longer. So I don't think Isaiah Likely is still going to be that elite option. I would get rid of him while you can, capitalize on his increased value, and then get some value back for Isaiah Likely, who is more than likely a rental for your fantasy squad.
Dom here.
Yeah, so for my buy, I have Tank Dell. I believe he finished with 8 fantasy points compared to Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, who both had great fantasy days. I believe he had 7 targets last weekend, and I believe his chemistry with Stroud, they will eventually put it together and he'll have a great year. And for my sit is J.K. Dobbins. He had 135 yards and a touchdown off of 10 carries. He is not going to keep that up for the rest of the year, not even close. He's also a very injury-prone running back and also in a filled RB room with Gus Edwards and a rookie that they drafted. So I'm selling J.K. Dobbins right now while you can.
Rich.
Yeah, I have my buy at Kenneth Walker right now at the RB 17. Seems a little high for a buy, but I think that this guy has top 5 upside at the end of the year. He's been fantastic going through the progressions of his career. He got 20 touches last week against a very solid, not great, solid Broncos front 7. And I think he's going to get the red zone touches, and I think that he's going to be a monster this year in fantasy. And for my sell, I have Tony Pollard last week, 16 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. This Titans offense is just kind of pathetic. I mean, he's gonna get the ball, but this offensive line is not good whatsoever. And I see Will Levis getting a lot of the red zone stuff, similar to Philly, with the push QB sneak.
Yeah, Rich, you mentioned guys with top 5 upside at their position, and I don't think anyone sums that up more than DK Metcalf. On paper, again, he went against that same Broncos team that you just mentioned Kenneth Walker went on. The difference was DK Metcalf was shadowed by probably the best corner in the league, or up there for one of the best corners in the league, in Pat Surtain. Only held to 3 catches on 4 targets. I mean, we've seen Geno force feed this guy at times. The Seattle schedule really isn't difficult at all around that league median. They're 15th on the toughest schedules in the NFL for the rest of the year. DK is that guy. I mean, I think he was falling a little bit too low in regular fantasy drafts as it is. And with him drastically underperforming against, on paper, again, a lot of people don't view the Denver defense as that good. I would go get DK Metcalf, especially if he's available in a lot of leagues. I think that this guy is going to have some massive weeks and can win you your league down the stretch. We've seen him be an absolute alpha in that Seattle offense. And going on the flip side, though, for my sell high, it's got to be Alvin Kamara. This Saints team, I'm not fans of this team in general, first of all, as a whole. I really don't think that they are that good of an offense. But Alvin Kamara especially played an awful Panthers run defense last week. Derek Brown going out on the PUP list in that game, got hurt. I have always been out on Alvin Kamara since the beginning of drafts. I had no desire at all to draft Alvin Kamara in the second or third round. I really just don't think he's that valuable of a running back. Yeah, he exploded last week, again, against a very rough Panthers defense. So I would really take advantage of selling high on Alvin Kamara. I would try and turn him into some form of an Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Pacheco. If you can either package him alone or with another player to go get one of those guys, I'd go do that right away. I'd be smashing the accept button. Moving on, though, obviously some new names popping up here on the waiver wire. Obviously, we did this in the preseason, but after week 1, you can kind of get a better grasp on who really could have some fantasy production, whether that's if you're picking this guy for next week or if you want to kind of stash a guy who could have some kind of potential down the road. So, Matt, here, we'll kick it off with you. What's your biggest waiver wire ad after week 1?
My biggest waiver wire ad is the same player I had as my biggest sleeper in the preseason episode. I'm going with Bucky Irving. We finally saw him start to eat in to Rachaad White's touches, and it didn't even take that long. It took 1 week. He had 11 touches, 2 catches, 9 carries. And again, Rachaad White continues to be inefficient. Bucky Irving was fantastic with the touches that he had. He's going to continue to eat into that workload. I think Bucky Irving is a true flex play, especially in the middle of the season as he starts to get more and more carries, potentially 10 plus a game.
Dom?
Yeah, for my waiver, I have Tank Bigsby, which is he's almost in the same situation as Bucky Irving. Doug Peterson keeps saying he wants to get Tank more and more involved, and we saw that this weekend. He had the same amount of carries as Travis Etienne, and he had more yards. So I think if he's producing like that, they're going to keep feeding him. So yeah, I'm picking up Tank Bigsby whenever I can.
Rich?
Yeah, for my waiver pickup, I have Jeff Wilson on the Dolphins. Last week he got 5 carries, 26 yards, 5 yards a carry. Mostert's out. Achane is questionable. I think this week he will be. We'll never know what we're going to see, but definitely we'll get more touches than 5. I think would be a great waiver wire pickup for this week against the Bills.
Yeah, 3 running backs picked by all you guys. I'm going to take a little bit of a different route here with my top waiver wire ad. You can call this a little bit more of a stash and store for when Jordan Love comes back. But I'm picking up Tucker Kraft, man. Everyone thought that Luke Musgrave was going to be the tight end 1 for this Green Bay team going into the season. But Tucker Kraft quietly is becoming the tight end 1. He outplayed Luke Musgrave in snap percentage, targets, catches, yards, and routes run for this Green Bay offense in their week 1 matchup against the Eagles. Yeah, I get it. He only had 3 catches on 4 targets, but Luke Musgrave only had 2 targets, and he was straight up just on the field more. And Jordan Love, like a really good quarterback once again in week 1. I think that slowly, as especially Green Bay's schedule does get easier towards the end of the season, and Jordan Love gets healthy, Tucker Kraft can be I think a very valuable bench, even maybe a startable tight end at the position where the tight end position is going through, I don't even know what you want to call it, just a massive overhaul with the amount of players busting and just the lack of points being put up at that position. Tucker Kraft could become very valuable once Jordan Love comes back and that Packers offense picks up right back on track where they left off against that Eagles team, even though it was a loss. But with that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Please continue to stay tuned. Going to be pumping out NFL, college football, and fantasy content for you guys all season long. But that will be it for Joachim Imperiale, Matt Freeman, Dominic Urbafina, and Richie Zangara. Thank you guys so much for watching.